All right. Happy March 12th, everybody. We are currently living life at 20 because I'm going through a school zone. Your speed 20 miles an hour on the GPS. So we're about to get into RFID chips. We're about to get into all the new technology that they're going to be using against us. Without further ado, here we go.
Wells in with you tonight with John Scura, author of Battle Hymn. John, where can this book be obtained?
If you want to save a couple of bucks, you can go straight to the publisher. That's blackrosewriting.com and order it from there. It's available on all the online booksellers like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Since it's such a generic title, you'd probably be better typing my name into the search to bring it up, typing John Scura, S-C-U-R-A, into the search, and it'll come up that way, because there's like 8 million Battle Hymn titles.
Gotcha.
On Amazon. But, those are the principal places you can get it.
All right, and I'll tell you what, I don't like to say we're going to talk about this, that, and the other, but the hours have just flown by, and this book is so rich, it looks like a textbook that I've been carrying for a semester. It really does. I mean, it's just, I try to take care of books, but this is getting, it looks used, and it has been. Tell us about the end of the trail, George H.W., JFK, and John, the title of one of your chapters here.
Oh, okay, good. This is easily the most incendiary chapter in the entire book.
Oh, excellent.
And it takes a while, so bear with me. First of all, I interviewed directly Dr. H. Ott, who has a PhD in nutrition and who is listed on the websites of the Sierra Club and the NRDC for his activism. He currently hosts an internet radio talk show, and for a time he hosted the nationally syndicated Republic Radio, one of their programs. Ott began his career, though, as a financial agent working for the firm of Hugh Wallace Pennock, and one of his tasks was to formulate a plan, a financial plan for a wealthy Las Vegas businessman named Christensen. Ott had to have a copy of Christensen's will for his files, and he found it very eccentric in that it stipulated that in case of Christensen's sudden suspicious death, a specific file called Gemstone was to be sent to his Beverly Hills attorney. This file was in a sealed manila envelope, so Ott just stored it unread and kept it for years, long after he had left the financial agent business. Then he called Christensen's home and asked, what should he do with this file, because he's out of the business now. And he was just told to toss it out. Well, he did this, but his curiosity caused him to bring the file back and to read it. The file was all about the murder of JFK, clearly indicating that it was a contract hit by the CIA. There were canceled checks in it, bank account numbers, travel vouchers, orders on CIA letterhead, personnel lists of participants, disposition of witnesses, and letters from George H.W. Bush on his Zapata Offshore Drilling Company's letterhead. Now, many sources claim Bush was a CIA operative as early as 1960 or 61. When the transcript of a JFK briefing by Richard Bissell of the CIA revealed the code name for the Bay of Pigs invasion was Operation Zapata, which is the name of Bush's drilling company. Also, 2 of the support ships in the Bay of Pigs invasion were named Houston, which was the locale of Zapata's offices, and Barbara, Bush's wife. The oil drilling sites owned by Zapata were just 30 miles from Cuba. An explosive memo written by J. Edgar Hoover about the meeting that he had with CIA representatives in his FBI office immediately after the JFK murder named a George Bush among them, adding that he was a CIA supervisor of the anti-Castro Cuban forces that invaded the Bay of Pigs. Bush has since claimed that this was another George Bush at the meeting, and there indeed was another George Bush in the CIA at that time, but that Bush was a low-level analyst and has signed an affidavit swearing he was not at the Hoover meeting. Bush's relationship with the Russian emigre named George de Mohrenschildt and his wife is another red flag. De Mohrenschildt was close to Lee and Marina Oswald between October 1962, which was 4 months after Oswald returned from Russia, and April 1963. Some researchers are convinced that de Mohrenschildt was a case officer or control agent handling Oswald. In March of 1977, on the day before de Mohrenschildt was to testify before the House Select Committee on Assassinations, he died from a shotgun blast to the head. It was ruled a suicide, but his wife, Jean, told the reporter in the following year that her husband was, quote, eliminated before he got to that committee. There's also evidence that Bush was in Dallas the day JFK was murdered. Amazingly, when asked about it, George H.W. Bush claims not to remember where he was that day, which I think makes him the only sentient adult in 1963 who doesn't know his whereabouts on that dark day.
Except for Nixon.
One thing is certain. Bush called FBI Special Agent Graham Kitchell on November 22nd, 1963, to report hearing a man threatened to kill JFK when he came to Houston. Now, this is odd because Bush placed this call to the FBI agent 1 hour after JFK had been shot and a full day after the president had already visited Houston. During the Senate Select Committee on Assassinations hearing, then CIA Director William Colby had to testify and admitted that Howard Hunt and George H.W. Bush both were in Dallas the day JFK was murdered. Colby added that Bush was in charge there, but taking orders from Allen Dulles. Now, this is really strange because at this time, Dulles had no authority to give orders to CIA agents because he'd been fired nearly 2 years earlier by JFK. It's no surprise that Colby soon was fired himself from the CIA, and years later he died under very suspicious circumstances. His replacement as head of the CIA? George H.W. Bush. Okay. So Truott believes that Christensen made this gemstone file to protect himself because he too had been involved in the JFK murder and on some level. Ott phoned Christensen's law firm to verify the information in the file and was urged to destroy it. He had kept the file hidden, though, and he believes the file proves that Lee Oswald was working for the FBI as a mole inside the CIA's anti-Castro operation. It has been documented publicly that Oswald was FBI informant number 179 during the early 60s, and as early as 1960, J. Edgar Hoover wrote a memo complaining that someone was using Oswald's identity while the real Oswald was in Russia, and that the imposter was buying trucks for the anti-Castro Cubans being trained by the CIA. JFK later ordered Hoover to shut down the secret FBI anti-Castro training facility near Lake Pontchartrain, Louisiana. This was part of an agreement he made to end the Cuban Missile Crisis. Khrushchev demanded he promised no more invasions. So anyway, under oath, witnesses claim to have seen Oswald at this facility at Lake Pontchartrain. And a few days after receiving JFK's order, Hoover's men raided the camp and closed it. Researchers suspect that Oswald supplied the whereabouts of the secret camp for the raid. Seeing Oswald as an FBI mole, finally, who betrayed them, CIA decided to frame him, according to Ott, and several other researchers, for the JFK murder when it was decided to eliminate the president. Many years after reading and storing the file, Truott was to be interviewed on a completely different matter by George Magazine. They were going to interview him about his protest against the expansion of Circle 4 Farms' Hogs factory. He met with the George editor who revealed that John Kennedy Jr. owned and published George Magazine. Ott was amazed, so he told the editor about the gemstone file, and the editor went nuts. Had it sent immediately to John Kennedy Jr., who spent 6 figures on private investigators to verify its contents. When he was satisfied that everything was true, he offered Ott a lot of money. Dr. Ott refused politely to take it because he felt pretty bad about the news that he was giving. And John Jr. promised Ott that a grand jury hearing and indictments against the guilty parties, including George H.W. Bush, would take place soon. This was on July 4th, 1999, the weekend of July 4th. A few days later, John Kennedy, his wife, and her sister died in his private airplane crash into the Atlantic off Martha's Vineyard. That was July 16th, 1999. Now, Ott admits that the gemstone file still exists because Kennedy had sent him a copy of it to Ott's attorney. And Ott has duplicated the Christensen gambit of threatening to release the file if he should meet a suspicious death. For this reason, he refused to divulge any of the file's details to me, though I tried. There have been several failed attempts on his life, however, so I can't blame him, and also the lives of his family. In Ott's opinion, JFK was murdered for 2 reasons. He was going to disband the CIA, handing all the intelligence work over to the military, and he was going to discontinue the Federal Reserve System by executive order.
Oh, brother, that's a double whammy if I ever heard of one.
Yeah. So anyway, we have that's the short version of what I consider a very incendiary piece of information.
Let's jump over to something completely different for a minute. You have a...
All right, let's jump over to ending this because time's running up and I want to move on. I actually have to hit the John before I continue my hour of driving back to the rest of the world, also known as Center Reach, from the beautiful Southampton, established in 1640. So I hope everybody is still interested and paying attention. There's a lot to learn here about JFK and the Bush family and Nixon and I believe Johnson as well. They're all behind the assassination. You will hear about some of these things. You will not hear about all of them, but it is proving to be a very interesting show. So, I just wanted to tell you guys one thing I forget to mention. For about $130, I got online on eBay a yoga ball that came with my inversion table. The yoga ball is awesome. The inversion table changed my life. Hanging upside down for a good, the daily show, 20 minutes, half hour, something like that. Every night, every other. Puts negative pressure, basically takes off the pressure that gravity is 24/7 putting on your body. It's the only time that instead of all your vertebrae being compressed and your nerves being squeezed in there, you're upside down and everything's got room. And you can twist and you can spin, well, not spin, but you can twist and loosen everything up and get fluid into all those joints. It's the most awesome thing that one human can do, as far as I know, to stave off the ever mounting amount of rigor mortis that constantly is trying to close in on your joints and stop them from moving. I started doing yoga, and now I started doing this twisting upside down, where everything is now stretched and can be more flexible. So 130 bucks. It's probably the best 130 bucks I ever spent. If you do get one of these, you want to get the one with it's a C in the front and the back. So behind your ankles, it's completely locked in with the front of your ankles. Some of them have a roll. It's a roll in a C, or just 2 rolls. That's no good, because then you can't move around without getting your skin all torn up. But if you are more interested in it, let me know, and I will let you know more about the site, the lady selling it, whatever it is. All right, I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Keep living, and keep to the 6 things: breathe, eat, drink, say, do, think. Always pay attention to that. Love you. See ya.